thank you for being here with us this Tuesday evening. As we are going to start our discussions and our journey, our relationship with SwiftOps. And today we have with us who's going to provide us a presentation about systems and what system is right for you. We have Chris Temp, and he is going to be here to discuss with us all the great things about SwiftOps, its working mechanics, and how it's going to be beneficial to you and have value to you and your business. Chris, welcome, my love.
Thank you, Yvette. It's a very excited to be here with you.
And as I was saying before we started here today, you come on the show today, kind of fancy with the microphone and that whole radio voice thing going on. So I've got my work set out for me this evening.
I'll do my best to not go full radio.
I am going to have to work some magic here. But Chris, we don't have much time. Sure. Chris Tremp, and we also have Bruce Berglund. Bruce unfortunately could not be here with us today, but your story fascinates me in terms of how you came into the healthcare world. Can you just share just a little bit about yourself and about Bruce?
Sure. So we are located in Wichita, Kansas. Bruce Berglund is a former home care agency owner, and he was in a franchise system. He owned that for a number of years with his wife. When they had the agency, they came up with another idea around outsourcing some of the things that happen operationally in a home care agency, being phones, after-hour scheduling, late alert action, these type of things. And they developed another company, which they then created. And that's when they moved from New Jersey to Wichita, Kansas, and they sold their home care agency. So overall, Bruce has been in home care roughly about 20 years. We have other partners in the business that also have scope in the home care industry for over 20 years. I came in roughly about 3.5 years ago when I met Bruce.
And totally not from home care.
Not from home care at all. I came from the tax world, and I really specialized in the franchise and company side, but really building things from a launch point. And I really got invested in startups and helping folks kind of launch themselves from ground zero, just using my corporate background as well as then helping out the independents. So I left the tax world looking for a new challenge, met Bruce, and it just was a great opportunity to try and learn a new industry and apply all the skills I have. And I've loved it. We've had a really great ride so far, really strong success for SwiftOps.
And, when I first, got acquainted with you guys, I would never have assumed that it's only just been those few few years. I would have said that you guys have been engaged like, peanut butter and jelly for years and years and years. So it just goes to show that it's working, right?
That's right. I owe it all to Bruce. He was Bruce and the other partners really shared their knowledge, got me up to speed. And then I kind of took it from there, and we just worked very well together in terms of our vision for what we're trying to solve inside of the home care software space.
And that's what makes me so excited about SwiftOps, because it is coming from a space of knowledge, of practice, of, tangibility in terms of, Bruce being in this field. Sure. And he's seeing all of the different, nuances that we have to go through. So when I actually came and looked at the system, I was like, okay, I've got to get in bed with somebody, right? Right. Chris, Bruce, Chris, but we've got to do something here. So here we are today. And Chris and I know that you've got a phenomenal presentation for us. So let's delve into that and let's start, sharing some more information about SwiftOps, home care systems, and is it right for you? Sure. So I'm going to take it over to you now, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. We've already covered this slide here. I appreciate it, Yvette. We'll cover this. It really is something of a presentation to give you talking points or points to think about if you ever are going to consider anything to do with getting a software in the home care industry. Now, the landscape is large. This is why I like to present information like this. There's over 65 competitors. There's probably about 70, 75 overall. And most of the softwares you're going to come across have the same type of core functionality, right?
Right. Yes.
They're going to have your client records, your caregiver records. People call are softwares, scheduling softwares or EMRs, or we call it an operating system because it does much more, but most people connect with the word scheduling software.
Right.
Now, what's really bringing relevancy to the software landscape and is separating the ones you really should consider or not is EVV, electronic visit verification, and the Cures Act that passed a few years ago that now is finally coming into law, and it surrounds Medicaid billing. And you have to have a system that is EVV compliant, or you will not be reimbursed for your Medicaid billing. You'll be out of luck. You will not get that money back. So this has driven a lot of folks who normally would not gravitate to software into a software conversation that they're not really comfortable with. They don't know what software should provide them and what it should not. And you don't want to just go in and be wowed by every software you see. So the point of this would really be to provide you with some tips here about what should you be doing when you go to do these demos? What should I be worried about? And obviously Swift Ops included. So time management and operations is key. Caregiver and client differentiators, development and reliability, support and training, and integrations. And I'm going to cover all of these pretty quickly, but overall, I think I'll give you enough detail to where you see how it can affect your agency. Now, first one is time management and operations, and it breaks off here really into three different rungs. You've got routine tasks, revenue, and data and reporting. So your routine tasks are what you're doing on a daily basis. Now, if you have a software, you need to be matching up that how you do it in your software to how they are showing you it's done in that software you're reviewing to see if you want to make a change. But really, for anyone that's doesn't have a software or is doing things maybe directly with spreadsheets, or maybe they're using a state provided system, something like that, it can be difficult for you to translate, okay, how do I make a schedule? How do I make an open shift? How do I fill an open shift? How do I create a client record and get that across in a demonstration? So you need to come into these demos and ask these questions. Show me how to do that, right? Or else the person on the other end of the demo.
Right there, Chris, just very quickly, as we are, addressing, time management and operations, the importance of time management, right? Because we don't want to be spending our times doing this manual work.
Right.
That's the importance of using systems to let the systems work for you. So in your opinion, and your vast experience within this area of home care, when would you say, and when would you recommend to anybody who's listening as they're starting out, when would you recommend that right time to start considering a software system?
Well, it really depends on your operating capital, right? So you have to decide what's the best system for you and find one that's affordable, but that you also will be able to grow into. You do not want a system that is going to limit you and then you have to change later down the road.
Right.
So for when I encounter startups or folks, let's say in their first 2-3 years, if you're already established and operating, I would say after about a year or so, you probably need a software if you're planning to scale out to the level you want. If you're ahead of the game and you're a startup and you're looking, I've got my license, I'm getting ready to go, I normally tell people, before you launch or within that first 30 days, you want a software, because any software you get is going to be about, at least a quarter time frame of learning and getting used to it. I would hope that the software provider has strong training as well. So that would be my advice if you're a startup. If you just open your doors, start looking now. If you're about to open your doors, look at that window of 30, 45 days before you actually launch.
And that's what we do encourage. We do encourage when our members are starting to start doing the demos, getting used to it, so that the learnings that the information they're getting along the way, now they can actually apply it because they've seen it, they've touched it, they've had the experience within, doing a demo with the Swift Ops, for example.
Right.
So thank you very much for answering that question, Chris.
No problem. No problem. So overall, you see revenue. You want to ask questions like, well, how quickly can I get an open shift filled? Does the system, can it do it entirely electronically? Does it have a built-in CRM? What do my business development people have? So obviously most folks that start the business, and obviously I'm guessing teaching them this, you have a business plan. And in that business plan, it eventually is going to be someone who's not just you being the marketing and business development person.
Correct.
So can your software handle that? And reporting is crucial. If it is like trying to build a rocket to pull a report, that might not be the best system for you. So you'll want to make sure you ask them to see the reporting. And how do I pull basic things like a payroll report, a billing report, an aging report, a scheduled time versus actual time report. These type of things are really critical small reports that if you can't find them or it's not easy to run, frustration is going to set in. So tip number 2 is around your clients and caregivers. The app that the system has is absolute drop down, must be a differentiator for you. Now, you can keep it very simple. If you just want an app that lets people clock in and access a care plan, write up the notes narrative, mark off the tasks, get signatures, every app can do that. But you have to ask questions about an offline mode. What happens when they go into a rural area and there's no signal? Can it still work? Is it EVV compliant? Is there messaging that's built into the app that's HIPAA compliant? Because texting and emailing is not HIPAA compliant. What other features can go into the app? So, for example, things like, can they bid on open shifts? Can they upload proof of documentation as a caregiver? My driver's license, my insurance. Can I upload things like that? Can I upload my vaccination status? These little things add to what we just talked about in optimizing operations overall and making things faster. So that's important. The caregiver app is just critical. If you don't see that on a demo, specifically ask them to see the app or to provide you with some sort of information about their app. The family portal is coming on strong. This is a family side access to electronically view things that are happening, schedule, completed care plans, completed shifts. Some can you can make payments through. So you want to make sure you learn about that and can see how do they access, how hard is it? Because let's be honest, the clients typically are going to be elderly and not truly wanting to go to Chrome or a browser, or if they're not very tech savvy, and get into a portal. So you have to be able to have a portal that the loved ones understand that they can get into, or even explain it to the client and have it be very simple. And then this is a really big one. Obviously, right now, if you're just starting out, you might not know this, but I'm sure, Yvette, you're telling them caregiver recruitment is just critical. And once you are able to gain caregivers, you cannot lose them. And you need to do everything you can to retain them.
Right.
Right. So your system should have some sort of gamification or built-in incentives where you don't have to do calculations of things. So, for example, I want to do a caregiver of the week. Can my system automatically calculate that for me if I put it in who won? How about an on time, a punctuality bonus? Can my system do that? Can it calculate who was late and who was not and automatically add 25 cents to someone's pay for every shift they work? These type of things save you time, but are differentiators when you're recruiting, as well as the app would be too. But when you can talk to them about bonuses or even integrations, which we'll talk about later, things like daily pay, that comes into play. Now, development and reliability. This is really, is the system stable? Is it going to stay stagnant? Is it going to be fluid? And this is the most important thing. You should ask any demonstration you go on, how many enhancements have you rolled out in the last year, 2 years, 3 years? Give me some examples of what they are. And what's your process for me to submit in any kind of ideas that I have that I'd like to see enhanced in the system? If you get a runaround answer or any kind of a vagueness around how updates are rolled, enhancements are put in, feedback is taken, that might be a red flag. You want your software to partner with you and not just be your provider. They should be walking with you. And this is crucial. And stability, right? It can't crash. And the easiest way to know that is just go into any Facebook group for home care and ask. And everyone will share their opinion of if it's stable.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing about the stability of it, I would want to have that system that as we grow, as we change, we may just adjust, we may have to recalibrate. That there is that flexibility, and I know just in obviously, being and doing this for so long, is that there are some systems out there that just does not give you that flexibility. So is it going to be for a long-term benefit to us if I get into bed with them?
That's right.
So those key things, stability, what are they doing in terms of their upgrades, is all very, very important. And or like in the last slide, and I just saw that, the listening part, are they actually listening to what you want? So I'm going to let you finish that.
Okay. Yes, that is absolutely critical. You want to make sure that they're partnering with you, that they want your agency to succeed, and you're not just someone that's paying them a subscription. That's it. Because just for myself and my outlook, if our subscribers are successful, then we are successful, because they will go tell everybody about how successful our software is and how it helped them. Now, this is also critical. Ask this on a demo. What is the support like? And not just the support, Monday through Friday, 8 to 8 p.m. Specifically say, what happens on Christmas? What happens on New Year's Day? What happens on Thanksgiving? You want to make sure that you have 24/7, 365 days a year live support. Not, I submit a ticket and then I hear back from someone 8 hours later or 3 days later. There should be some sort of phone, live chat, whatever it is, interactive service that's there for you to support every day, overnights, weekends, holidays. That's important to ask. Training, this just differs across the board. Some have more of a learning management type track where they give you a bunch of courses and say, this is what you take, and they'll look at your progress. You have an account manager, which is totally fine. That might be the way you learn. But find the place that is going to adapt their training to your learning style. Is it one-on-one? Like Yvette, if you came on and I trained you for an hour on my system, would that help? Or are you someone that have to have their hands on it in order to learn? Yeah.
Right.
Or are you someone that likes to watch videos or read articles and learn that way and test it out? Ask what the options are, because all softwares that are worthwhile, really, that are going to provide you these type of things, we all work very hard to try and drive strong training. Because if you are trained poorly, the onboarding goes poorly, and guess what? Word of mouth goes poorly. So we really try to do that, and I know my competitors do as well. And then continuing education. Well, what else do I have that I can learn about outside of just your system? Who are your partners that can teach me things about e-learning or onboard systems or HR platforms? Or for example, Home Care Pulse is very well known in the industry. They have a benchmarking report, right? So am I going to have access to them if they're your preferred vendor? These type of things are important to see. And most of the softwares, if you sign up for their newsletters or any kind of emails from them, you'll see, well, we as a group in the landscape do a pretty strong job of driving this. It just really is, what's your preference there? But that is important to see.
Support is huge. It is
yes.
so huge. I can possibly take, some functionalities not meeting necessarily all of my 10 top points, but the support has got to be it. And
that is the thing that number one, when we hear anything overall about feedback, it is how well the folks are supported, because we don't expect you to understand the system. You're just not going to, because it's brand new to you. I can teach you for 4 hours and you're still going to walk away and say, I don't remember. What did he say?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But if you could at any time go into a chat and just type a question and it's answered in 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever it is, that's the type of partner you're looking for. So support is so critical, or else you're not going to learn how to utilize and really empower yourself with your system.
Totally agree.
The last one would be, and this might not be in your.
I love this one.
Yeah, it might not be in the landscape of a startup. What I find is when we encounter a lot of folks that are newer to the industry, you just don't know this, and that's fine. I didn't know it at one point, and you should have the folks that are demoing their software educate you, share their information about what do they know, who are their partners, right? So preferred partners being, every software should be a one-stop shop of some aspect. There should be a couple options for your caregiver learning. There should be an HR onboarding platform. Maybe there's a survey platform, a merchant service so you can run credit cards in ACH and collect your revenue. OIG checks. There's just a lot of things maybe you're not even thinking about, but you want to make sure that you ask these questions because typically, and this isn't all the time, but typically these preferred partners, when they partner with a software, there's some sort of discounting on the overall retail price, or you're getting a better deal because it connects directly into the software. And that's what an integration means, is that you're not exporting information. You're not having to do any manual data. The two systems are talking to each other. So the best example I'll give you is, let's say, caregiver learning. I pick a partner, and everything I'm assigning in terms of courses over there are flowing into SwiftOps or whatever software you have. That's important there. EVV is also critical. If you ever plan to be approved, apply for Medicaid and be approved, get a system before you get approved, because you need to learn the system. And the EVV aggregation and the integration aspect, where a software like SwiftOps or our competitors connect to a state provider, can be prickly. And it can be really, really overwhelming to folks that have never done any kind of home care billing before. Medicaid billing can be intense, especially with the EVV aspect that's telling you time punches were after the start time, and you're missing some sort of code on your CMS 1500, and you didn't think about any of this stuff. Right. So that's huge to know. Are you EVV compliant? And in my state, can you connect to the state provider? So some states are open, some states are closed.
Right. And I was about to just step on that also, Chris. And just to share with everybody that's listening and is going to be listening and watching this, is that the EVV system is not open. And what we mean by open, meaning there are some states that do not integrate with a SwiftOps.
Right.
They have their own freestanding systems that you have to build through. They are not saying that they want to have a third-party processing, if you will. So just be aware, everybody who is listening, just be aware that this may not be in your state. South Carolina is one of them. I'm in South Carolina. Right. South Carolina is a closed state. So just be aware of that, and just know that, again, in asking those questions when you are speaking with SwiftOps, hey, is my state, is it an open state?
Yep. And how does it work? And if whoever's demoing you for any software can't explain to you the process to submit a software, or how EVV works, or how billing works, red flag, right? You should have someone that's on there that's able to explain all that to you. And then obviously, as you see the future planning of when you start adding these different ancillary products to your scale out of your business, you want to make sure your software is getting with the industry best. So final extra advice I have, attend platform demos, right? Don't limit yourself. Don't do one, do 5, 6, 7, 8, and go back for seconds. If they won't allow you to do multiple demos, red flag, right? So for SwiftOps, we will do as many demos as you need, but I really enjoy when I hear the stories of folks coming in and saying, hey, I went over by ClearCare, or I went over by Access Care, AlayaCare, and they said this. How do you do it? Because I don't remember that was covered in our first demo. And now you've got a really interested person that's starting to try and understand the software. And really, that's just a great conversation to have, so you can make an educated decision. Pricing will throw you for a loop. Number one, I'd say when you go out and look at demos, try and find the pricing on that software's website. If it's not apparent and transparent, why? Right? Why do you have to attend a demo in order to see pricing? If they have the pricing on their website, many do, SwiftOps does, that's great. Then ask them those questions in the demo. Understand the difference between getting charged per client or per employee or per shift, and getting billed for a bucket of hours, and how that works, and what type of agency are you, and which pricing platform works best for you. And do they have other options, or are they just stuck on that one level that they have? And then finally, know the agreement terms. Is it a year agreement? If it's not a year agreement, can I cancel at any time? If it's a year agreement, is there an exit clause that's going to cost me money to get out if I need to get out early? What's included in this in terms of how much training I get, or what happens after 1 year or 2 years? Does it automatically renew? what happens with my pricing levels? What happens if you change your pricing? These type of things are important to know about your agreement. Don't just sign and then worry about it later. I can't tell you how many folks that I've encountered that have done that. And I'm pretty, understandable about that and try to explain it to them and work with folks to try and get out of a pickle maybe they got themselves into. But those are really important things to remember as well.
And all of those key things that you just mentioned, Chris, just says, because Chris is mentioning that, is that SwiftOps have it all covered.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right? Has it all covered. And again, just in knowing my relationship with Chris and Bruce is that, they're thinking outside of the box because they are home care themselves.
Yes.
Right. So it just really just enforces and reinforces the caliber, the breadth and width of the system. So your presentation covered a lot of areas, and you did it very, very quickly. Thank you so very much for that.
Sure.
But I'm going to ask you just a very general question.
Okay.
So what is SwiftOps differentiator?
Between competitors, our differentiator, couple prongs. One, let's talk about the system. Overall, it is the control and the customization you have. We allow you to dictate a lot of different features of how they flow, what is actually there. Examples, assessments and care plans.
Yes.
You have 100% control of what they say, what they flow. Other softwares all aren't like that. But even drop-down menus, what's the menu you can choose from for miscellaneous items or miscellaneous charges, or what's the service codes that you're going to put in? These aren't hard coded, right? These are flexible and 100% customizable. We call it the dynamic feature set. So surveys are another part. We have a DocuSign. These are very different, and it's called eForms. It's a mini doc. I shouldn't say DocuSign. It's a mini version of it. But these things give you a lot of control you don't have elsewhere. And then our support is 24/7, 365. We are the only ones in the industry that have that. Our pricing is different. We do not charge per client unless you want us to. We do have that, and it works well for live-in. If you have live-in clients, a ton of hours, not a lot of clients, it makes sense to be charged per client. We charge you by billable hours, which is how many hours you actually bill your clients. If you bill your clients each month, you should have revenue to pay for our software. So that plus the fluidity of the system. We roll out updates probably out of every quarter, and there's typically 5 to 6 big ones, but overall about 30 little tweaks to the system, all from user feedback. Great example. We just rolled one out, and we added in these embedded links that you can take and put on your company website, and they can be for intakes or for caregiver interest. And they just fill out this little form, and then it goes into SwiftOps, and you can approve if you want to create that as a lead or a prospect record or a caregiver applicant record. And we don't care how many active records you have. We don't charge you like that. So it kind of circumvents a full-blown HR system when you can't afford it yet. So that was some feedback from some of our subscribers that they wanted just some sort of simple solution. So we did that.
All right. So that question, I guess, was pretty easy for you to answer, Mr. Chris. So I'm gonna try one that's a little bit more difficult. Okay. So my question to you is this: if we have agencies who also have staffing, right? And we know that we go by SwiftOps goes by, billable hours, right? How does that work when we've got one client who's a facility, but within them that our staff may be servicing multiple different clients? How does that work in terms of the billable and collecting that data?
So we're solely looking at what is billed. So, and we do have a facility module as well, as you just mentioned. So whatever you are billing your clients, that would fall into the bucket. So it doesn't matter if I go see 17 clients in a shift. That's, for me, that's one shift to be paid. For those clients, when you're billing them out or you're billing the facility, whatever that amount is, you're billing the facility or those individual clients, that's what rolls into the overall billable hours bucket.
Okay. So I guess that wasn't a difficult question for you either, Chris. So I'm going to raise the white flag, and I'm going to say, look, it's been an absolute pleasure being here with you, but tell us how we get in touch with you, Chris. Tell us where we can, email, call.
Sure. Yeah, you can email us. The easiest way, if you want to talk to us about SwiftOps, is sales SALES at swiftops.com. That will come to the sales team. I actually get copied on that as well, so I'll see that. My email is, if you see my name on the screen, so if you want to talk to me directly, just put a period in between Chris Tremp. So chris.tremp at swiftops.com, and you can email me directly. That's 100% okay. Head to our website. You can see all of our information there. Our pricing's there. You can request demos right from there as well. But if you do that, please make sure you said you came from Yvette, and so that we know where you came from, and it helps us streamline that demo. If you get on there, you don't see availability in the next couple days, or you're like, oh, the availability for demos in a week, shoot an email to sales or me, say you're from Yvette, and then we'll bump you up and move you up in the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that just brings me to the last point in terms of, the Swift Ops and the Home Care Business Advisors collaboration. I'm truly, truly excited about, the journey that we may have ahead of us, Chris. But for all of those who are, members and they're part of our group at Home Care Business Advisors, as Chris mentioned, guys, we have negotiated, we have talked, we have been on calls, we've been on emails, I've been on the road and lost reception, but we've come to a group discount for Home Care Business Advisors. So please utilize Chris, again, chris.tremp at swiftops.com. Make sure that you mention my name and Home Care Business Advisors, and he will lead you in the right direction. There is no amount of demos that he will not do. Right. He is very, very fluent in his craft, and he's very, very passionate about giving you guys that right system, that right operating system that is going to be right for you. Closing statements, Chris. Last words for everybody who's listening today.
I hope that I gave you some insight into when you're going out to do this search, because I truly believe you do need a software, whether it is SwiftOps or a competitor. If you're going to scale your business to become the success you want to be, you're going to have to automate through a system. And I would love to be the system of choice. Myself, the other sales folks on my team, they will spend the time to educate you. Don't feel bad if you come on there and say, I don't understand XYZ. I don't know how this works. What do you mean by this? We will spend the time on a demonstration to explain to you the processes and how they work inside of SwiftOps. We want to partner with you. So I appreciate the time and just the ability to be able to share this information with you. Thank you so much, Yvette, and everybody.
Yes, you are the absolute best. Your energy is contagious. We are going to be in touch. I do have some information I need to send over to you also, but we'll do that offline. Okay. But until next time, you are going to be coming on and doing a live demo.
Right.
So I know that my team are working with you and Bruce in getting that all arranged as well. So I'm looking forward to that. My favorite part of the system is how you can create your own forms, your care plans and your assessments. Yes. That drag and drop. I love that, love that, love that. So I'm looking forward to that session that we're going to have coming up soon. In the meantime, Chris, be safe, be well, give my love to Bruce, and we're going to be talking soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.